Hey guys, welcome back to the Global League Review. Here we have another replay that somebody sent me, um, looking for some feedback. This one was sent in by Joe Pack, who I feel like we actually saw one of their games prior to this for some reason, but maybe I'm misremembering. So let's learn more about Joe Pack. This is 1100. So you can't see this probably, but their signature says everybody hates Sasha. They're 1228. Yet they find themselves in a Sasha Ditto. So I don't know. Maybe they've had a change of mind, change of heart in the last few months, but not a good look. And then their opponent is Start, who's been playing for a very long time. I think that they started in like I've played them at least in like 2018, so they've been around for a while. Um, let's see. Let me just stalk them for a second. When did they join League? They joined in 2015, yeah. So Start's been around for a while, and they've always been about, right in that kind of upper middle part of the pack. Consistently solid player, I'd say. So yeah, we can talk about the map here, which is Viridia Aqua. So this is high funds. Um, so Viridia Aqua, definitely one of the more unique high funds maps. It's a Voice of Akasha creation. Um, it's like the weird mix of both mixed base and also heavy naval. I mean, like it's heavy naval in the sense that there's a lot of sea, but in the games that I've seen, which is I've seen a lot of games here, um, rarely does naval get more exciting than like a battleship sub fight. Occasionally you'll see a carrier, but usually no more than like three. Actually, probably usually no more than two attacking naval units. I mean, occasionally you'll see maybe like a black boat, but I'd say T copter is usually more frequent frequently seen. Uh, yeah, I think that kind of the theme for what controls the seas typically tends to be B copters. Both players get two airports on each side, so um, in high funds that typically means that you can go pretty heavy into B copters pretty safely. And since it's mixed base, you can kind of like stick your B copters in this general region. And then, so let's say it's a blue B copter, it can go out into here and threaten this side and threaten this side. So um, it kind of forces out two anti air, one here and then one here. So it's like a, yeah, I mean, I think that that's the theme of how things normally go. It'll be interesting though to see how Sasha plays here. I've definitely not seen very many not seen very many high fun Sasha games. I've played in only a couple. But in the Ditto, I think that we'll probably not really pick up on. It'll probably just feel like two COs without super CO powers playing each other. I mean, it's really just market crash over and over and over. I guess you could if you if your opponent mismanages the market crashes, you could get lucky and get like a monster super CO power, which can give you, I don't know, like at most a neo tank or two, but like not a tremendous amount of, not like it's usually not a very high valued um, uh, power. So it's probably more often that we'll see the CO power is just kind of like with the intention of denying your opponent's CO powers. So let's get into the game here. Okay, so Joe Pack going airport first, which I approve of. You can go immediate T copter, which is kind of nice. You can. I wonder if there's a way to like both boost on your way to. I don't really see any good boosts, but if not T copter, then like early B copter is usually pretty good. Okay, so far everything looking pretty standard. I triggered the button that you just like refresh the page too much, and then the website decides to object to your requests. Um, all right, so Joe Pack kind of building vehicles first with tank. Um, yeah, this seems fine. Certainly the tank here makes plenty of sense because there's like not really any other. If you built an infantry here, how would it be useful? I think you'd have to like have this guy skip over this property and then go for this guy instead, which I think is deniable. I mean, certainly with a recon that stops that idea. So a tank here makes sense, and you're just kind of like hoping that you end up with this property, but you might not. And then tank down here. Um, yeah, I mean, you're not in want of a lot more infantry on this front, so a tank is a fine thing to build. And on the two bases that really need infantry to continue capturing, you get building infantry. So from a capture efficiency point of view, it makes sense, and from like a strategic point of view, it makes sense too because like this city, like these two cities on mirrored sides are oftentimes pretty contestable. So getting out an early vehicle can help your cause to going and capturing those early. Oh, interesting. Okay, so start kind of like refutes immediately this tank going neo tank to answer. Um, Now this is like really hard to deal with for Joe Pack here in Blue Moon. It's not called Blue Moon. The Penguins. Um, for like the issue is that since Joe Pack went double tank, they don't have the ability to respond to this Neo with a Neo of their own. Um, so so start actually has like a pretty good amount of immediate tempo from this on this front, which is pretty sweet. Although it could mean that by not responding to this tank immediately, that they lose a little bit of ground when it comes to capturing these two cities. Okay, and so then Joe Pack responds in a way that makes sense to me. Um, Although it barely doesn't work out the way that you'd hope it to. So Joe Pack responds B copter artillery to this Neo tank. Um, so currently this tank is like a glorified recon. Um, so it's a little bit sad right now. I mean the B copter trades nicely into Neo tank. The artillery can kind of fight it back as well. But it'd be nice to have enough money for a neo tank for a neo tank from this space next turn. So potentially going T copter here instead of B copter could have made sense. or potentially going, uh, yeah, T-copter, and then next turn doing bomber instead of neo tank here. Um, but I think you want a heavy unit to respond to the neo tank early on. That's usually what I think about when I see heavy unit openings in high funds. Okay, so yeah, start definitely showing some solid moves here. Double tank here responds to this tank very efficiently, covering both areas the tank can go. Um, and really like no other builds looks like no other like vehicle builds, so that made a lot of sense. Seeing this neo tank response almost makes me wonder if in this matchup you need to do like recon first from this base instead. Okay, so second B copter here and second artillery for Joe Pack. Um, it feels like like it's a little bit early to have two artillery because it's hard to defend them. But I guess if it's just against one neo tank, it doesn't matter that much. So it's probably fine here. There's like a so in this previous turn, man, that's really not liking me today. So in this previous turn, this tank has the option of disrupting this cap from the forest. Um, that's usually well, it's something to consider at least. Let's see what the damage does. So it does 50 damage, and then it probably dies. Okay, so it goes down to one or two. Let's see, it's at two and it's at five. So this tank could stick around and like delay this infantry capture for 2 turns, which is like a 4K income denial. Although actually maybe it has help from this infantry. Um, so I guess what we're looking at is like potentially denying this city long term for the cost of an entire tank, which could maybe be worth it. It's high fun, so like cities are worth twice as much, of course. So it's just something to think about. Maybe sacrificing from the forest could be an okay option with the infantry to clean up this infantry. Although this guy comes in and captures anyways, but hmm, I don't know. It's a puzzle you can think about. But I guess I would say don't be afraid to sacrifice tanks to delay income because that's what the pros do. And as long as you just kind of like math out if it's worth it or not, that's all you need to do. Man, the replay tool is really not keeps giving me 503s. Okay, so it looks like I would say yeah, start really playing solidly here. Lots of like well covered units and very solid walls that kind of stop any aggression. The one thing that Start doesn't have an answer to though is this B copter right here, which has Oh, I see. It's yeah, yeah. It's Joe Pack team move. So there's two different ways that this B copter can harass. Harassing south is pretty nice because then you interrupt this infantry's chain onto this city. Um, so it delays this chain by one turn, probably, which can cost a fair amount of gold. Delaying here is all right too. Just like a little bit less lucrative, I think. Um, yeah, so I think the only like real advantage Joe Pack has going at the moment is this B copter, and then everything else is pretty much accounted for. Oh, that was starts move. So Joe Pack making a really nice decision to build the artillery here, which both backs up the capture of this city, which is presumably happening next turn, and also covering this city, which is a nice little combo. So it looks like Joe Pack ends up attacking from the top here with his B-copter. Um, I think the good thing about this is it does kind of like force a bit of discomfort onto this Neo tank because now it's facing two B copters, three artillery, and it kind of forces a build out of this space to deal with these B copters. So I guess that's a move to maybe get this city. Um, Although you do really want to see more infantry on this front for Joe Pack in order to if you're gonna go for like a contested capture like that, you want to have backup infantry so that start can't just like sacrifice one infantry and then your whole purpose of your um of the capture is kind of thwarted. Okay, so start goes really deep with his neo tank. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. So not in range of a bomber. Two, three, four, five, six. Not in range of a neo tank. Um, no Okay, so I mean, this does have a lot of trap potential, but looks like there's no immediate build that responds to this neo tank. So we'll kind of see what Joe Pack can do with this deep neo tank. Okay, so start getting a bit offensive here with these guys. I guess the idea is that he's baiting this artillery shot onto the tank instead of onto the capturing infantry. Um, and it hard to say what the right thing to do is here um, for Joe Pack. Yeah, that's. I think that you could probably make an argument to just like fire on the capturing infantry, protect the artillery, and then build another medium tank, and then it just kind of like shuts this down, and then there's no help. You can fire on this infantry on the mountain uh, in order to weaken it so it doesn't go for another city cap the following turn. And then you kind of um, then you again like I said earlier, you kind of like stop the capture threat, and then you just stay alive with medium tank spam. Just an idea. Okay, goes for the tank instead. That's fair enough. Oh, I see. You can do B copter, B copter, tank, and then the. All right, so yeah, I think the last thing we saw was this Neo tank getting harassed down pretty badly with the anti-air not really having a target. So that's not really what you want to see as start. Seeing your Neo tank pretty much answered completely, which seemed to be pretty avoidable, unfortunately. So yeah, now this movement of troops up here looks really solid, and there's just not any response for start here. And then also down here, it looked like the response was solid enough. Although start does get this city, it does seem it's going to be hard to hold on to. Okay, and then Joe Pack going more into B copters. I mean, fair enough. Like, there's just no anti air, so might as well continue exploiting that. Okay, so here comes market crash from start. Um, Kind of in the middle of the turn. Maybe it's okay. Forcing the second anti-air here is pretty painful because anti-air don't do well versus artillery, particularly. So instead of this being a tank, since it has to be an anti-air, um, yeah, Joe Pack is in the driver's seat for sure. Yeah, start definitely. I guess this move here is all right, but there's a bunch of stuff that's gonna die. It's gonna be kind of even. Okay, and then here comes market crash for Joe Pack. So the medium tank actually kills the tank, and now the B copter gets hit anyways. So yeah, start is kind of not doing the best on pretty much on every front. Start is running into issues, and it looks like it was mainly just tactics, which is kind of what I feel like dittos usually come down to. And also the other thing too is like not having the B copter answer to the B copter instead of having to pump out like all these anti-air, which should be tanks. That definitely hurts Start's cause, and then of course the lost Neo tank was um, very painful as well. So yeah, I think that the game is actually kind of over, despite well, yeah, Start has like a pretty decent lead in unit value, and there's just free hits everywhere at this point. See, like now that these B copters are out, it kind of forces Joe Pack to come up with an answer, whereas before, just having all these free B copters fly around was just really um, was a real strength for Joe Pack. I'm not clicking too fast because I don't want to incur the wrath of the refresh gods, which I just did there. Okay, and there's the resign. Yeah. Um, yeah, I would say probably the biggest thing here was, I mean, it was start losing the Neo tank despite being off to like a really great start. Um, and then like losing the Neo tank because they didn't have because they went too deep, and then by losing the Neo tank, they lost all of their sort of heavy tank and tank pressure all in one go. So then they were stuck in a situation with this front here where they had to put out anti-air because they couldn't get B copters to the front fast enough, and that meant that they didn't have tanks to deal with the artillery. So yeah, I think once again we see B copter supremacy is like a really strong way to really a really good way to win on this map. So yeah, well played by Jopak for sure. Coming back from kind of a rough opening, I would say, and then finding a finding a kill on a Neo tank that was sort of hard to spot, I would say. So yeah, GG's. Next time we'll be back with the 1200, I think. Yeah, 1200.